Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Alden K. Today, for episode 9, we're going to be covering the Arizona Cardinals' 34-28 loss against the Buffalo Bills, and then we're going to be talking about the Rams and Cardinals Week 2 matchup with an NFC West rivalry. And then we're going to be briefly talking about Sean McVay's dominant record against the Arizona Cardinals. And then, secondly, we're going to be talking about the Diamondbacks staying in the wild card hunt, Gabriel Moreno potentially coming back this week, the Diamondbacks sweeping the Rangers and moving on to the Milwaukee Brewers. And then lastly, we're going to be talking about college football, Arizona State beating Texas State, U of A beating NAU, and playing Kansas State today. Once again, guys, welcome to the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Alden. Alrighty, guys, once again, if you're just now tuning in, welcome to the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Alden K. So we got a lot to cover today regarding Arizona sports. A lot went down this last weekend, but before we do that, guys, IE Sports Radio has been around for 10 years, so make sure to follow all of us on all of our platforms right here, as you can see, and then make sure to sub up to our YouTube channel as well. We're growing pretty good on there, so make sure you sub up to the YouTube channel where you can check pretty much anyone's shows. And if you miss any of our shows, you guys can just check them out right here. Make sure to check out our website, guys, iesportsradio.com. And then also, if you want to buy some merch, check out the shop as well. And then make sure to check out our custom pages. As y'all can see, mine is right here. So make sure to go give it a look. Not just mine, but everyone else's. And then make sure to follow me on Twitter, guys, starting off with my IE AZ Sports Zone Twitter account, where I give updates on all the Arizona teams. I retweet stuff just to keep people updated. Mostly, as of right now, I've been keeping up with the Diamondbacks play-by-plays lately on just their games, how they're doing. Actually, they're not playing today, so we get a quick rest before we come back against Milwaukee tomorrow. Or wait, never mind. We play Milwaukee today, excuse me. And make sure to follow my personal Twitter account right here, where I'm brutally honest on all my teams and pretty much just talk trash on all my rivals, this and that. So this is my unfiltered Twitter account, if that's what you want to call it. So I see Spongy's here. What's up, Spongy? And then, guys, make sure to give our sponsors a check out, starting off with Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, and Seal the Deal Wax Seals. Make sure to go check out our sponsors. And with that being said, guys, before we get the episode started off, we're going to be going into a sponsor break to hear a word from our sponsors. Once again, guys, welcome to the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
Alrighty, with that being said, welcome back to the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Alden K. So yeah, guys, make sure to go check out our sponsors. Shout out to our sponsors, Planet Jerky, Premium Biscuit, Brief Jerky, and Seal the Deal Wax Seal. So with that being said, guys, we're going to get into today's episode, but I have a little surprise for you guys that I forgot to mention. So today is going to be a pretty special episode. I actually got my first ever guest on the AZ Sports Zone, and this is going to be a great episode that we're going to be talking about here. So that being said, guys, I want to welcome the host of the SoCal, I hope I'm saying this right, the SoCal Supreme Show, or hopefully I said that right. But that being said, guys, let's welcome Taryn Rodriguez. How you doing, man?
Hey, Alden. Great to be on your show. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk some Rams, Cardinals, and much more.
Yeah, so we're going to be covering a lot of the Arizona and LA teams. So this isn't just AZ Sports Zone. Actually, guys, Terrence's show's right after mine. So I guess we're kind of getting a little preview of what he might be talking about on his show. But that being said, so we got a little bit to talk about. But first, before we get into our matchup, I want to talk about our team's matchup, specifically the Rams in Week 1. So the Rams lost 26-20 against the Detroit Lions in overtime. So I didn't see the game, but I'm sure you did. So tell us a little bit about what went wrong and a little bit about what went right in the Rams and Lions game.
Well, I think for the Rams, I wouldn't say everything kind of went wrong, but I just think they just got to a slow start in terms of their offense. That Lions defense is no joke. Aiden Hutchinson was bringing the pressure, and the Rams O-line, I think, was a little young. And I just think that the Rams just couldn't get their offense going effectively. Now, eventually over time, it did get going. It did slowly but surely progress. But there were a few plays where the Rams just needed to get their run game going. They needed to basically do everything correct, and I feel going having that third down and then just having an incompletion with the clock stopping just kind of hurt the Rams' momentum. And this is where you wish you had a run game with either Kyron Williams or Blake Corum. I'm surprised they didn't really use Blake Corum a whole lot. So it is what it is. At the very least, the Rams were able to push the Lions on the road, but losing Puka Nacua and a majority of their offensive line really hurts them going into this week.
Yeah, losing Puka Nacua, that helps us. I hope he gets healthy. But I saw Cooper Kupp had a very good game though. So I mean, I know he kind of had a down year last season. So I mean, for Rams fans, it's kind of nice to see him going again, I guess. But so a little bit about my team. So yeah, we ended up losing against Buffalo 34-28. I was surprised with the way we played despite losing. I mean, coming into this game, I thought, we were going to get annihilated. It's in Buffalo, Josh Allen, who could have an MVP season. He played pretty good in that game, and with the Bills team that we saw the other day against Miami, I'm really surprised that we were able to make it this close in their own stadium. So for this game, we started off strong. We got the first touchdown of the game. We went into halftime up 17-10. Everything was clicking for us. The referees kind of gave both teams a touchdown in the first half. They gave us a late hit call on Kyler, and then for Buffalo, they gave Josh Allen a call as well. So, officiating was kind of weird for both teams into this game. But one thing about Jonathan Gannon that I wanted to see him improve on last season as a coach was make second half adjustments. And that is something that you can tell he didn't really do into this game. Because Buffalo, they came out with the ball in the second half and they scored right away, tied the game, and then they ended up taking the lead and they did their thing and they won the game. So a lot of headline topics heading after this game is Marvin Harrison. Obviously, he didn't have a strong game. He only had one catch for 4 yards. A lot of that was because of the play calling. We obviously last year we were a run first team, and we saw that this week. James Conner had a very strong game. Trey Benson, who we did not see in the second half, so similar to Blake Corum, we didn't see Trey Benson a lot in the second half for us, which is something that I was very disappointed in for Drew Petzing, our play caller. But Kyler Murray, he didn't have that bad of a game. The only turnover he had was the strip sack that the Bills got on him because our offensive line did not give him enough time in that game to really do anything. But his completion percentage was pretty good. He had 160 passing yards and a touchdown. So not the best game that he could have had, but a solid outing. But on our final drive, I'm sure a lot of people have seen it. Marvin Harrison Jr. was wide open. There wasn't a single Bills player within like 20 yards of him or something like that. And he could have won us the game if Kyler had just thrown the ball his way. But unfortunately, the Bills defense, they came up clutch on that final drive and they ended up winning 34-28. So I thought our offense played pretty good. Our run defense remains very weak, which is something to look into going into this Rams game with the running back duo of Kyron Williams and Blake Corum, which I think is going to be the Rams' strong point heading into this game, is their run offense, because our run defense, they let Josh Allen and James Cook completely dominate us. So it's going to be something to look at heading into this game. So let's get into the Cardinals and Rams week 2 matchup. So like last week's show I always start off with the injury report for both teams heading into the game. So I got it on my phone right here. So Kyler Murray, who was listed on the injury report with a knee issue, he was a full participant in practice, so he is going to be good to go. Xavier Weaver, our wide receiver with the oblique injury, he was limited, so he is questionable. Max Melton, who was on concussion protocol, was cleared today, and he did practice as a full participant, but he was limited the day before that. So that is it for the Cardinals. It's kind of surprising because we've been known for our injuries. Only 3 players on our team have been injured, and only one of them is questionable. So that's pretty nice to see. So for the Rams, you have tight end Davis Allen with a back issue, and he was a DNP for the Rams. Kevin Dotson, offensive lineman, who was DNP with a foot issue. Kobe Durant with a toe issue, DNP. Rob Havenstein with a foot issue, who was limited. Christian Roseboom with a hip injury who was limited, safety Quentin Lake, safety who was limited, and then obviously Puka Nakua who was put on the injured reserve and is going to be out for at least 4 games. So yeah, injuries have been an issue already for the Rams heading into week 2. So what is your insight so far on Puka Nakua being out? I'm pretty sure Note Boom was also put on the injury list for 4 games as well. So yeah, that injury bug is not looking good for y'all right now. So thoughts on that so far?
Yeah, I think Steve Avila is also on IR too, so that's rough. Yeah, for the Rams, not having Puka Nakua is going to be rough. It just means more Demarcus Robinson and more Cooper Cup. And I forget the other guy's name. It was something Robinson. He is a former Buccaneer, but he actually kind of made his name a little known. I kind of forgot that the Rams had signed him. So regardless, it's going to have to be the next man up mentality. The Rams actually do have a good plethora of receivers that could basically step up. It's just all about executing perfectly. My big concern is the offensive line for Matthew Stafford and how there's not going to be a whole lot of protection. It got to the point where the Rams had to sign some free agents off waivers the day after Monday Night Football. So yeah, Tyler Johnson, thank you. Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
it got to the point where the Rams had to sign some free agents, sign some offensive linemen off waivers and whatnot. So that's my biggest concern going into week 2.
Yeah, so you bring up the offensive line. So that's anyone who knows me as a fan, I always talk about the Cardinals' defensive line and how it has not lived up to absolutely anything. I mean, Darius Robinson, our other first round pick, who we drafted, is out for at least the next 3 games. He was put on the IR to start the season. So he was out. Like it came to a point where the Cardinals were trying to trade for Hassan Reddick from the Jets. But obviously the whole contract issue thing, we don't really know if we're going to make a move on that. And then, yeah, like I said, our run defense has been atrocious. Our pass rush, they had 1 strip sack on Josh Allen, and other than that, they missed 7 sacks on Josh Allen, where they had a chance, where they put pressure on Josh Allen, and they could have brought him down 7 times, and they missed every single one. And I think 2 of them led to a rushing to touchdowns from Buffalo. So our pass rush has not been something that. I know it's only 1 game, and a lot of our starters didn't play in preseason, so that might have something to do with it. But at the end of the day, when you have a chance to sack the quarterback and you get your hands on the quarterback, you have no excuse but to bring him down, and that's something that we failed at doing. So yeah, let's get into the preview. So obviously, both teams, coming into this week, they lost. 2 of our other division rivals won, and they're 1-0. So one of us really has to bounce back in this game. And, unfortunately for one of us, it's going to lose to a division rival. So coming into this game, the Cardinals and Rams, both teams are 0-1, and it's in Arizona. So this is our season home opener. But the one thing I want to point out is the fact that Sean McVay is 13-2 in his coaching career against the Arizona Cardinals. So we have not done well against Sean McVay. And I always talk about Sean McVay because before Sean McVay came along, as an Arizona Cardinals fan, we kept it pretty competitive with the Rams. But 2017, when they hired Sean McVay, it's been nothing but LA since, with Jared Goff and with Stafford. And so I kind of want to get your thoughts. So the Rams coming into week 2. I mean, you saw your team week 1. I know it's only week 1, so like I said, beginning of the season, we still don't really know what kind of team we're going to get from both of our teams. So if you're hypothetically the Rams, positives and negatives, what do you think is going to be the key for the Cardinals to beat the Rams? I know obviously the Rams, you would expect them to win, but from you watching the Rams in week 1, what do you think it's going to take for the Cardinals to beat the Rams exactly?
It's an excellent question. So for the Cardinals, for them to beat the Rams, they're going to need to protect Kyler Murray at all costs. And they really need to get Marvin Harrison Jr. involved. I was very disappointed to see him only having 1 catch. It's like, dude, you had like the 4th overall pick and you're not using him.
Right.
So yeah, I was extremely disappointed at that, and I'm sure fantasy owners were too. But buying Kyler Murray all the time in the world would be totally helpful. The good thing about facing the Rams is they don't have Aaron Donald anymore. He can no longer torture Kyler Murray, and he won't be torturing any other quarterback too. So you have that right there. And coincidentally, I think getting pressure on Matthew Stafford would be crucial just because he did not have a whole lot of time and he was kind of running for his life a little bit in that Lions game. So I think getting pressure on Matthew Stafford would be big, getting and stuffing the run as well. I don't think the Rams are going to be facing another defense like the Lions until they face like the Niners, in my opinion. But it doesn't mean that they're going to be in for an easy matchup against the Cardinals. Like if I were a neutral fan, like if I were just a casual fan looking at this matchup, I'd maybe give the Cardinals a good shot at winning just because they were competitive against the Bills. I was actually impressed that they were up by 14, and it was a little disappointing and saddening that they wound up losing. And it's like, oh man, that was because I think everyone and their moms were picking Buffalo to win that one. So I kind of feel for y'all. I feel like y'all are kind of a sneaky team. I wouldn't say you're going to be making waves. Nothing against y'all, but I think you're going to. The Cardinals could definitely be a team that can turn heads and that no one. They can win big games this year. They can win a big game or two against some teams that they aren't really favored to win. So I think for me, it's all about the defense getting pressure and protecting Kyler Murray at all costs and getting Marvin Harrison Jr. involved.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, like, I mean, obviously, from my fandom perspective, I didn't expect this team to do anything at all this season, and even though they lost last week, they showed some signs. But you guys may not have Aaron Donald anymore, but you have a guy who I would not have minded if my team had drafted him, Jared Verse out of Florida State, and I'm pretty sure he had a sack the other game too. So
Yes.
yeah, so Jared Verse is a guy that could honestly fill in. I'm not saying he's going to be Aaron Donald because I feel like he's one of the best and he's irreplaceable, but he can definitely at least somewhat fill the shoes of Aaron Donald for the Rams' future, whatever they decide to do. And I was kind of upset when he went to the Rams because I always liked him out of Florida State, and it's like crap. And now I got to root against him. So it's like, but the Rams they made some surprising moves in the draft lately. So we'll see how those guys turn out.
Yep.
But yeah, you talk about the D line being able to put pressure on Stafford. So I'm gonna say how the Rams could beat us now. If the Rams were to beat the Cardinals, first off, like I had mentioned earlier, it's got to be their run game because I mean they let Josh Allen. I know Josh Allen's a dual threat quarterback that we normally know as, but they let the Bills run all over us in that game, and our D line was ranked the worst last season. And coming into this season, it could honestly be repeated again. So, in order for the Rams to beat us, number one, their run offense has to be on par. Maybe you can use Blake Corum a little bit more in this game. And with Puka Nacua out, you have guys that could step up, but obviously the options are a little bit limited as well on there. And our passing defense, obviously, I mean, in the first half at least, they limited Josh Allen's passing yards, and coming into this game against Matthew Stafford, who even though he's getting up there, I still feel like he, passing wise, he can provide a solid outing. I think he had over 350 passing yards, if I'm not mistaken, in the other game. So yeah, he can still throw the ball. Our passing defense, they missed a lot of tackles, which is something that if I'm the Rams, I would look forward to. And to coming into this game, it's all about just outplaying the Cardinals defense, just like Buffalo did, right? And Sean McVay, he's got to make now, assuming because the Cardinals, they've been a first half team for quite some time, ever since Jonathan Gannon came in onto this team. So if Sean McVay can outduel Jonathan Gannon in the first half and make the proper adjustments into the second half, which is something that he's done against our team for quite a while, it should be no issue for the Rams, being able to put up points. And defensively for the Rams, if you can put pressure on Kyler Murray, because ever since Kyler Murray, it feels like ever since he came into the league, if you put pressure on Kyler Murray, he's not really the kind of quarterback where he'll just throw the ball away. He will try to make a play even if he's running for his life out of the pocket, which can lead to a stupid interception. So you put pressure on Kyler Murray like that, force him to throw a dumb play or a dumb ball, force feed the ball to Marvin Harrison or something like that, which is something that he did a lot, which, fortunately he didn't throw a pick or anything like that. But a lot of the mistakes that Kyler Murray did were just run out of the pocket, try to make a play on his feet, and it ended up not really amounting to anything. So putting pressure on Kyler Murray would be a big factor for the Rams. I know I've seen the Rams do that to him a lot in the past, and they're just going to have to keep on doing that. And obviously, I always talk about how the Cardinals are a run first team. If you can stop James Conner as well, then honestly, the Rams could come in Arizona and just beat the living crap out of us offensively, because this team's been known for their run offense lately. And, James Conner, who had a by far career season last year, is looking to repeat that. Um, I think the Rams, could come in here and absolutely dominate us like they've done in the past. I know it's kind of surprising. Coming into this game, I think we're actually the favorites to win, which is pretty interesting. I know I'm surprised that we're, I think, 1 point favorites to win this game. I mean, with the history that the Rams have had against us, and just with the way we looked in the second half last week, I don't really understand how we're favorites to win. But I digress. So we kind of got that out of the way. So if you had to give a score prediction for this game, I know I don't really like score predictions, but I give them out anyway. Obviously, a lot of us do pick'ems, this and that. So if you had to give a score prediction for this game, how do you think this game will turn out?
Well, I forgot to mention someone else is on IR. Darius Williams. The cornerback room for the Rams is going to be super thin. It's Tre'Davious White. That's a big name right there. But it's not like flashy like when they had Jalen Ramsey and the Rams defense back when it was like helping them make the playoffs and Super Bowl and whatnot. But if I had to pick a score, sorry to veer off right there, but if I had to pick a score, I'd probably say Rams 31, Cardinals 28. It's certainly going to be high scoring affair. And if last week's game kind of taught me anything, it's that the Rams are going to need to score more points than the opposing team because their defense is still young and inexperienced. And it's not that they're bad. It's just that inexperience really hurts them. And against an opponent like the Cardinals, they're really going to have to buckle down against Kyler Murray because Kyler Murray is a shifty quarterback when he's at full strength.
Yeah, that's the problem. Kyler Murray's health has been a big factor in his career, and when he is fully healthy, he plays like an MVP, like we've seen it before. But unfortunately, injuries have caught up to him, so hopefully he can continue to stay healthy. Um, and honestly, like with how injured the Rams are, like I was surprised they were able to keep up with Detroit until overtime with how injured they are. So you could tell that they're definitely a team that they are about the next man up, and they're not gonna just go away just because they lose a star player like Puka Nacua. So if I had to give a score prediction, you know, until we really get until we can really get the Rams number and just beat Sean McVay consistently, I'm not gonna pick us against the Rams. Like I just can't. I've done it before. I've predicted it, and it's came back to just bite me. So I do think this could be a close game, though. Just it's early in the season. Teams are still trying to get their groove going. Um, our starters are still trying to get it going a little bit. Like I said, I really hate the fact that our starters did not play in preseason. It really sucks. But with that being said, I do think the Rams are going to win, and I think the score is going to be 33 to 27. So that's how
Fair.
much I think the Rams are going to win by. But I can't wait for this game. Hopefully, with how close we played against Buffalo. On top of that, how dominant Buffalo was against Miami the other day. It's going to be interesting to see how we respond from that loss. So against the division rival too, and this would be a good time to really get it going if we do have a chance. Like I said, the Seahawks and Niners are already 1-0, and it'd be nice to really get back in the division a little bit. Something I really want is just for us to not finish last in the division because it feels like we've been the bottom dwellers for as long as I can remember. So if we can at least not finish last in the division, I'd be okay with that. But you know,
Mm-hmm.
but that has been the Rams and Cardinals Week 2 preview. We're going to go on a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to be briefly talking about the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks and how they've been doing. And the Diamondbacks remain on the wild card. Yamamoto returned for the Dodgers. Diamondbacks are getting healthier. So when we get back, we're going to be briefly talking about some baseball in LA and Arizona. Once again, guys, you're watching the AZ Sports Zone on the ICE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, Pittsburgh? This is Ralph Calise, the host of the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you that passionate diehard Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, or just a Pittsburgh sports fan? Then please join me on the Injury Report every Tuesday on IE Sports Radio, the direct feed for all that is sports. And I will update you on all that's black and gold, and have you telling your Pittsburgh fans and friends what's up with Pittsburgh sports. Tune in Tuesday with me, Ralph Calise, the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go!
Hey sports fans, are you in the market for Florida sports or just keeping up with the latest in the Panhandle? Palm Tree Sports is a dedicated audio hub to all things sports in the Sunshine State. We cover current events, big news, heavily favored opinions all across the NFL, NBA, MLB, and so much more. So come check us out every Saturday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For a down south education on Florida sports and athletics, it's hosted by yours truly, Corey Pujols, and is powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Alrighty, welcome back to the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. I'm your host, Alden K. So, yeah, guys, shout out to Corey and Ralph. Make sure to go check out not just their shows, but all of our shows. We have a bunch of people from all over the country, pretty much, and that'll give you very good content on the teams that they root for. Especially if you're a fan of their teams, guys, go check out their shows because they have a lot of stuff that they'll talk about. So let's get into the baseball segment of this episode. So let's start off with a little brief topic of the Dodgers. So Yamamoto returned for the Dodgers against the Cubs after I believe it was at least 3 or 4 months being out. So Yamamoto, it looked like he played very good. So the Dodgers, even though they're dealing with pitching injuries, from what I've seen a lot, with Yamamoto coming back, Perrin, how do you think that's going to affect the Dodgers as they make a push to actually get back to the World Series?
Well, I think they'll need all the pitching that they can get, just because pitching is so crucial in the game of baseball. You could never have enough good pitchers, in my opinion, or pitchers in general. But yeah, this weekend's going to be such a big weekend for the Dodgers because they've got a 4-game series against the Braves. And I think Yamamoto being back in the lineup would be so great for them. So I think him and any other pitcher that the Dodgers can get back would be so helpful, because the Diamondbacks, even though they're 5.5 games back, I just saw the standings. I think that they're still 5 games back. Even though they're 5 games back, I still think the Diamondbacks are still the biggest threat. I know the Padres are right behind the D-backs, but I think it's just going to boil down to the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers. So I think for the Dodgers, this is a big series against the Braves. The Braves aren't the Braves that they have been in the past, but they're still vying for a wild card, just like the Diamondbacks and Padres and maybe the Mets and whatnot. So I'm hoping the Dodgers have a better showing, unlike their matchup against the Cubs. I was concerned for that third game that the Cubs were actually going to sweep. It's like, please, Dodgers, don't do this to me. And then they were able to pull it out in the end. So it's like, thank goodness.
Yeah, I mean, believe it or not, the Cubs have been a very good team lately. They're actually, I'm looking at it right now, they're only 5 games out of the playoffs, and Atlanta has been losing lately, so they could get past them. So yeah, the current standings are Philly in first, Dodgers are right behind them for second, Brewers are in third, D-backs have the first wild card spot at 82 and 64, and then the Padres are half a game behind us, and then the Mets, who have been, I mean, the Mets have been such a great team. It's kind of surprising. They hold the final wild card spot, and they're a game ahead of Atlanta, who is out of the wild card at the moment. So briefly about the Diamondbacks, so they do remain in the wild card hunt. I did not expect us to win the division this year, just simply by the fact that the Dodgers spent $1 billion for Shohei Ohtani and Yamamoto, and so far they're first place in the division. I mean, they're not the team I thought that they would be. I mean, with a team like that, I mean, I think they'd be far ahead in first place in the NL right now. But you know, the
Hmm.
Phillies are also an expensive team as well, and they've been good too. So the thing with the Diamondbacks, so they're just coming off of a series against the Texas Rangers. We swept them, and they recently also beat the Giants, and then they lost the series after that. So they've been kind of on a bumpy ride lately, but not they've been a bend but not break kind of team lately. But a lot of that also has to do with injuries. We've been dealing with injuries a lot this season, much like the Dodgers, um, who also recently just beat us in a 4-game series, 3 games to 1. And you know, there were so many chances we had to beat the Dodgers in that series. It would have been very crucial had we won. But you know, yeah, we remained 5 games behind the Dodgers, or 4.5, or wait, no, 5. So, you know, it's not out of the ruling that we could win the division still if the Dodgers go on some magical losing streak and we just get healthy, we get right back and going. And speaking of injuries, our franchise catcher Gabriel Moreno, according to Tori Lavello, our manager, is coming back at some point this week. So Gabby Moreno, ever since last season when we traded for him, the numbers with him compared to when we don't have him has been a big difference. Every time Gabby Moreno is not behind the plate playing defense, we tend to lose a lot more. I mean, as we saw in the Dodgers and Diamondback series, I mean, Otani had like at least 5 stolen bases on us. Like, it was crazy. Um, but then again, he's on pace for a 50-50 season, which is pretty good, pretty amazing. Um, so with Gabby Moreno coming back, it brings back a lot of good defense because Adrian Del Castillo, our rookie, while yes, he's a very good bat, he's not really the defensive catcher that we hoped he would be in replacement for Moreno. And Jose Herrera, our other catcher, he's kind of the exact opposite of Del Castillo. He's a little bit good on defense. He's not that big of a bat though. So with Gabby Moreno coming back, he's the better all around catcher. It's nice to have him back. Ketel Marte also came back, who played very good against the Rangers. And Christian Walker came back as well, and he had 2 homers against the Rangers in that 2-game series as well. So our guys are coming back healthy. They're getting it going again, and like I said, we're currently half a game above the Padres for the first wild card seeding. So by the looks of it, we are going to be playing the Padres in the wild card. So it's going to be a huge series, and getting the home field advantage in that wild card series, it would be very crucial because the Padres, you know, their fans always show up at their games. You know, they get it going in the playoffs. So being able to get the home field advantage in Arizona would be very big if we do play the Padres or the Mets, whoever they face, assuming we make the wild card, which we should at this rate. So speaking of the Dodgers and Braves, I kind of want to talk about that. So the Dodgers to start a 4-game series against the Atlanta Braves starting today. So the Braves are currently 79 and 67, and they're a game out of the wild card right now, while the Dodgers are 87 and 59. They're 5-5 in their last 10 games, and they are coming off a series loss against the Chicago Cubs. So what was something that they need to improve on compared to the Cubs series in order to be able to beat the Braves in this 4-game series?
I think it just has to be overall consistency. The Dodgers, if they want to be successful, they have to have good at bats and good pitching games. I know it's tough to be consistent on a 162 game basis, but they have to. They can't give away like freebies to like teams that they know that they can actually beat, and they know that they have to come up big again. So I think this Atlanta Braves series is going to be so crucial for the Dodgers. Like I said, it's going to be so big just because the Diamondbacks have the Brewers as well. I mean, they they have to also learn to not allow other teams to like do their dirty work. They can only control what they can control, and if they can control it the correct way, then they could see what happens with Brewers, Diamondbacks, and then Padres, Giants, which at this point we should maybe expect the Padres to win that one. But
Yeah.
I think for the Dodgers, looking at this 4-game series, it should be pretty taxing. It's in Atlanta, so I think for the Dodgers, they kind of have their work cut out for them, because after they play against the Braves, they have a 2-game series or 3-game series against the Miami Marlins. So they go from Atlanta all the way to Miami, and then after that they come home against the Colorado Rockies. So but as of right now, the focus is on Atlanta, and I think it's just going to be a tough series, but much tougher than expected. But I'm confident in the Dodgers. I think they kind of got the bad games out of the way, and if they could just find their consistency on a semi-nightly basis, they should be fine. I would prefer 3 wins over the Braves, but if they can get 4, then go for it. If they can get a split, I won't be too disappointed. But that's going to also depend on what happens with Brewers and D-backs.
Yeah. So speaking of that, yep, we do play the Brewers starting today. And I kind of want to briefly talk about this. So obviously, I kind of want to talk about Clayton Kershaw a little bit, right? I mean, he got injured against when you guys played us. Corbin Carroll hit a home run, and I guess he had some foot injury, or correct me if I'm wrong, something like that. So, and I was watching that game, right? And Clayton Kershaw was throwing pitches at like 60 miles an hour. Like it was brutal. And the D-backs kept hitting off of it, and Dave Roberts made the right decision to take him out, and then you guys eventually won the game. So, like Clayton Kershaw keeps on it. By the looks of it, he gets injured. He's being taken out of games lately. I mean, you think personally he could have a good ending to the season if he does come back, and if not, is it maybe time for him to hang it up?
Yeah, it looks like he has a toe injury. And look, the dude has had a fantastic career. Yes, I know everyone's going to say the whole Mickey Mouse thing, but a World Series is a World Series. You don't give the trophy back, in my opinion. So I think him having a World Series and him breaking all sorts of Dodgers records is excellent. So I think his career is illustrious. If he does ride off into the sunset, then he had a great career, and I would wish him nothing but the best. But if he still wants to keep playing, then I admire him for doing that. It's just all about on if and when his body will decide to scream uncle. But overall, I like Clayton Kershaw. I think he's resilient. I feel some Dodgers fans give him a little bit more flack than normal. So I think for Kershaw, I admire him. I admire that he continues to go out there and do what he can for the Dodgers. I just hope that his body is able to hold up for as long as it can.
Right. Yeah. He's been tormenting my team for so long. It'd be he did have a great career. That would be nice to see him finally retire and just not torment my team anymore.
Like Aaron Donald with the Rams.
Right, like Aaron Donald with the Rams, like Kobe with the Lakers. It's like, oh my gosh, so freaking annoying. But yeah, so the D-backs, we just swept the Rangers and we outscored them 20-4 in that 2-game series. Rangers dealt with gruesome injuries. Corey Seager, actually, it got announced today, Corey Seager's out for the year. So
Oof.
the Rangers just keep on going through it. But we were able to sweep them, get our get back. Where was that at in the World Series, you bums? But anyway, yeah. So we're on to Milwaukee now, where it's a 3-game series. We have Eduardo Rodriguez pitching today for us. It feels like it's always a curse for us when it comes to left-handed pitchers. I mean, Madison Bumgarner, Jordan Montgomery. I mean, I can go on, and now Eduardo Rodriguez. He has an ERA over 6, and I know he missed 4 months this season, and maybe part of him is still injured for all we know. We don't know exactly, but that's been a big issue with the Diamondbacks. Our injured staff has not done anything good. I mean, Alec Thomas was supposed to be out for a week, and he's been out for like and he started off the season out for like 2 or 3 months. Like, it was brutal. Same thing with Zach Gallen. He came back a little bit too early, and he was a little bit injured while he was playing, but his last two outings have been pretty good. So it seems like Gallen's been getting it back together. Um, who else? Cattell Marte, he came back too early after the Phillies intentionally injured him, and then he got injured again. And then he had just came back, and now we're playing good again. So with Eduardo Rodriguez, something I want to look at is his control of the strike zone, because a lot of his pitches have been a little bit too far out, especially against those right-handers. And he just gives up the big hit like at least one time per inning. Like it's brutal. So today's game, Erod has really got to step it up. Our second game, we got Brandon Pfaadt pitching, who he's that kind of pitcher where he'll give you a good like 4 or 5 innings, and then like in the sixth or seventh inning, he'll just give up a bunch of runs. So it's all about him being able to keep the pace going until Torrey finally takes him out. And then for the last game, we have Zach Gallen pitching, our ace. So hopefully he can keep it going. He's been dealing very, very good in his last two games. Or wait, it's either him or Ryan Nelson, but either one of those pitchers, they've been playing very good this season. So it's going to be interesting to see that. But I like the way the Diamondbacks have been looking, and if we could get Gabriel Moreno back very strong as we make this final push for these last 3 weeks, uh, bare minimum first place wild card. If not, somehow we can win the division. It'd be very big for us. But Milwaukee currently leads their division, and they're going to be a very tough task. They actually have almost the same record as we do. They have 2 more wins than we do. So it's going to be interesting to see that. So we're going to go into one more break, guys, and then before we wrap up episode 9, when we come back, we're going to be talking about college football, specifically ASU and U of A, and then USC as well, and maybe we'll throw some UCLA in there as well. So we're going to go into a quick break, guys. You're watching the AZ Sports Zone episode 9 on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
What's up, sports fans? You're listening to IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your favorite West Coast Wisconsinite, Bernie Bango, and if you're a cheesehead, come listen to my show, Big Cheese Sports, where we road trip around America's Dairyland, previewing, reviewing, predicting, debating, and digging into all that is Wisconsin sports at the college and pro levels. Join me on IE Sports Radio, Sundays at 1 p.m. Central Standard. Bernie out.
Welcome back to the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Alden K, along with Taryn. And yeah, like I said, guys, and I'm going to keep saying it, go check out everyone's shows. All right. Like I said, Taryn's show's right after mine. So you guys can just go check out his show right after this. He'll be live pretty soon. So we got to get these topics get going pretty soon. But yeah, go check out our shows, guys. We got a bunch that we can throw at you. So I want to start off with USC versus Michigan. So USC, they've been doing pretty good. They beat LSU, which definitely surprised me, but I wasn't. Well, they surprised me and they didn't surprise me, if that makes any sense. They shut out Utah State, I believe it was, and now they're playing Michigan. So Michigan, I think they just lost their last matchup, if I'm not mistaken. So USC and Michigan, how do you think that game's going to go?
This is going to be one of those interesting middle games. I think USC definitely has a shot. Michigan is certainly not the Michigan from last year, as last
Right.
week was demonstrated, where Texas just took Michigan to the shed. But I think for USC, look, shutting out Utah State was nice. It's their first shutout since the infamous 50-0 win over UCLA. But let's be honest, it's Utah State. I keep telling this to everyone who says USC was helped by the refs. Utah State struggled against Robert Morris, an FCS school. So, of course, Utah State was going to struggle against a USC team coming off of a big win over LSU. Now let's see USC go on the road, because remember that first game against LSU, that was played at Allegiant Stadium, a neutral site. And then they played their first home game against Utah State. Michigan is going to be so tough to win in the big house. But again, no Jim Harbaugh, a whole different coaching staff, a whole different team. If USC's defense can actually clutch up like it did against LSU, I think USC definitely has a chance. Miller Moss obviously can prove he can win, and against ranked teams too. But Michigan is still going to be tough. Obviously, they have the whole reigning national champions label on them. So, and I think it's a good opportunity for USC to basically say, you know what? People think we're going to be finishing behind Michigan. Let's prove everybody wrong. And I think for USC, I think this is the perfect opportunity, because I saw this on Cleveland.com. There is no Big Ten media poll or before the season starts or preseason poll. It was Ohio State first, Oregon second. I think it was Penn State third, Michigan fourth, Iowa fifth, and then USC sixth. I don't understand what people look at in Iowa just because they have the most milquetoast offense I've ever seen. But
Right.
the Michigan thing, I could see Michigan. I understand Michigan being ranked ahead of USC, but after the dud that they put out against Texas, I don't know. But USC really has to be dialed in for that matchup. They can't let the opposing home crowd get to them, and they just can't let the moment get too big for them.
Yeah, and speaking of Miller Moss, like a lot of people, they were talking about him last season. Like Caleb Williams didn't play in the last game last season. Miller Moss took over. He beat the crap out of Louisville. Miller Moss isn't going to be anything like Caleb Williams. Like a lot of people are giving him criticism, this and that, but he's definitely done good these first two games. So it's going to be pretty cool for USC. So yeah, that's going to be a game to watch. And speaking of games to watch, how about this? I don't care if we're playing crappy teams, this and that. I don't give a crap, all right? ASU beat Texas State 31-28, and they are 3-0 for the first time since 2019. So as an ASU fan, man, it feels very, very good to see us 3-0. Last year we were 3-9, so we already matched our win mark from last season. Kenny Dillingham has done a fantastic job with this program. He's definitely been, and it feels right within the culture, right? Kenny Dillingham, he's a Phoenix native. He went to ASU, so it felt right to bring him in as our head coach. And right now we're 3-0. So despite there being some questionable decisions that he made in the game the other day, like for instance, not running the damn ball when you're up with not that much time left in the game, so which almost led to Texas State coming back if it wasn't for our defense being clutch in that game. But regardless of that, we're 3-0, and I mean, like I said, I don't care if we're playing bad teams. We're obviously the Big 12, they're not really known for their defense, I guess you can say. But it is what it is. We have so yeah, we've been Wyoming, Mississippi State, and Texas State, and we're playing Texas Tech next week on Saturday. So it's going to be another fun game to watch. Something I'll be looking forward to. Sam Levitt's been having a fantastic season as our quarterback. It's been a very solid year for us. I did not see it coming, but we're 3-0. So let's just keep it going and give teams some warning when we play them and really shock a lot of people. So ASU, they've been doing their job, and it's nice to see. So UCLA, they're playing Indiana. So, how's UCLA been doing? And they're playing Indiana. So, how do you think that's going to go?
Whew, I was hoping you wouldn't ask that. Well, UCLA, they'll get to play at home, which is good. They had a bye last week, which is also good. But they're going to be playing on national TV. They're going to be playing on NBC with the college football Saturday night thing. So this one's going to be so tough for UCLA. They barely eked out a win over Hawaii. It was so ugly that they were shut out in the first half. So UCLA needed to throw the kitchen sink and more at Hawaii of all teams. Keep it, I will give Hawaii the benefit of the doubt. Hawaii really showed up. Its fan base is so passionate. If you've seen them at like a basketball or a volleyball or football game, then you will see that their fans show up, whether it's road or home. But I just don't see UCLA winning this one. As much as I hate to say UCLA loses, Indiana looks good, and UCLA finally is going to get a taste at the Big Ten, a true taste at the Big Ten. And this next 3 games after the Indiana game gets a whole lot tougher. They've got LSU the following week, and then they've got Oregon, and then Penn State. It might be a miracle if they beat Rutgers or Nebraska, but that's barring Rutgers brings out that Rutgers team that beat Miami in bowl game season last year. And then Nebraska, Memorial Stadium is so tough to win at. It's so passionate. Their fans are passionate. So their next win might not be coming until week 9 at the earliest. But when they play Rutgers, but I don't know. So, but I just think this week feels like UCLA is going to lose. If I'm wrong, I will eat my crow. But at least UCLA's gameplay or offense isn't as bad as San Diego State's.
Yeah, man, not looking good for that. But yeah, but the Big 10, Big 12, whatever our teams are in, man, it's all new now. Like it's just so new. Like Pac-12 just being dead now, it's like sheesh. It's very interesting.
It may be coming back though.
It may be, yeah, it might be. But hey, my team's undefeated in the Big 12, so I kind of want us to stay now. So hey, but let's get to this disgusting Arizona Wildcats team. So U of A, who's ranked 20th, they beat Northern Arizona 22-10, and they were losing at halftime, 10-7. Like it was very, very bad. I mean, Northern Arizona, they're like the bottom dwellers of college football Arizona teams, and they barely won. They struggled against New Mexico, the game before that. So it's like this U of A team who's ranked 20th, it's not looking good for them. And they play Kansas State today, who's ranked, I think, 14th or 13th or something like that. So if U of A is going to beat Kansas State today, they cannot play the way they played against NAU. I mean, they need to get the offense going early, and they can't wait until the second half to finally make adjustments and go out there and win the game. No, Kansas State's ranked 14th, and probably you play like that, you're going to get demolished. And if you score anything at that, so yeah, U of A, it's not looking good for them in their new conference as well. So, but U of A, they're ranked for a reason. They're going to get it going probably. Man. Towards the end of the season, ASU versus U of A is something I feel like ASU can actually win for once. It's going to be interesting with the way we've been playing. I feel like we can finally beat this team in football. But I digress. So yeah, so we've hit the 1 hour mark. So yeah, man, this has been a very great episode 9 that we've had here. Like I said, guys, Taryn is going live literally as soon as we end this. So make sure to go check out his show right after we end this. I want to thank Taryn for coming on here to talk about Rams, Cardinals, college football, Dodgers, this and that. Hopefully at some point we got a little bit of news going on in the basketball world, but NBA is right around the corner as well. So definitely be looking forward to the Suns and in Taryn's case, Lakers, Clippers, this and that. So once again, Taryn, thank you for coming on here. You got anything else to say before we wrap it up?
I also do want to make note of Arizona State's women's volleyball team. They're actually undefeated, and I think they're number 14 in the nation. Tonight they're playing Nebraska, which I think is number 5. Yeah, number 5 in the nation. And that's going to be in Lincoln. And then tomorrow, ASU women's volleyball plays my alma mater, Long Beach State, which I'm sure ASU is going to win that one. If they're not going to beat Nebraska, they're for sure going to beat Long Beach. But if they beat Nebraska, then Long Beach State is in for a rough ride. But I just want to throw that out there just because I also host Set Point, the volleyball show here on IE Sports Radio.
Yeah, man, perfect. ASU turning it around on everything, I guess. But yeah, it's nice to see that. But once again, guys, Taryn will be live here shortly. Once again, thank you for coming on here, even though your show's right after mine, and I think you're going to be a few minutes late. But thank you for coming on here.
I don't go live until 3. So.
Oh, 3. Okay. I thought it was 2. Okay. So once again, thank you for coming on here, man. And thank you to everybody who we had a lot of people who was watching this today. So thank you to everybody who came on here. We got a lot of Arizona and LA to look forward to. Rams and Cardinals play against each other on Sunday. I'll be back here next Friday to talk about that. And obviously the Diamondbacks, hopefully by next week, they'll look a lot better as far as making the playoffs. And as far as the Phoenix Suns go, basketball's right around the corner, guys. I can't wait to start talking about them here shortly next week. But with that being said, guys, thank you guys for coming to the AC Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And once again, shout out to our special guest, Taryn Rodriguez. Make sure to go check out his show in less than an hour, where he will be talking about his LA teams. And with that being said, guys, we are out. I will see you guys next Friday. And Taryn, you got anything else to say before we wrap it up? Thank you for coming on here once again.
This won't be the last time I'll be on.
It won't be the last time. Chargers and Cardinals, week 7 or week 8. And that's a primetime game too, guys. It's a primetime game. It's Monday Night Football. So we're definitely going to be talking about that game when we play them. But once again, guys, thank you guys for coming by. And see you guys next Friday. We are out.